everyone. My name is Pooja Nupane, and I'll start this off. So I was born in Nepal in a refugee camp, and then I came to the United States in 2011 with my family. So the question is, how did I, or like how my family became refugee and where we're from. So my story, it's a little confusing to understand. So like there's Q&A at the end, so you can like feel free to ask me questions. So my parents and grandparents, they were born in a country called Bhutan. It's really close to India and Nepal, for those of you who aren't really sure where it is. But despite them being born in Bhutan and living there all their life, they had their own language, which is Nepali. That's the language people in Nepal speak. And they were known as Nepali-speaking Bhutanese while living in Bhutan. So as the Nepali community grew and got bigger in Bhutan, the Bhutanese government didn't like that. So obviously we had our own language, own religion, faith, had our own culture and everything. So the Bhutan's government didn't like that because they thought the Nepali-speaking people were going to take over Bhutan and would get rid of their culture and everything. So they did something called ethnic cleansing, and they completely got rid of the Nepali-speaking Bhutanese out of Bhutan. They started harassing everyone, raping women, beating men, going into people's houses, harassing children. So my family, with hundreds and thousands of other Nepali people, fled Bhutan and came to Nepal. And then they really didn't have anything to start it off with. So what my parents told me was it was basically a jungle where they started off in Bhutan. They had to like cut down trees and like build their house. They didn't have any resources, any supplies or anything. So you know the plastics that people like build their houses with in developing countries? That's what they had to like build their homes with in the very beginning. So later, after like a couple of years, NGOs and like other nonprofit organizations started helping them, providing them with like bamboos. So my parents and grandparents, they started building houses, and UNICEF started helping children with education and you know, food and clothing and stuff like that. So things did get a little better, and people started businesses just to like live their life because they had nothing. So in 2011, we came to the United States through an organization called IOM. It's International Organization for Migration. They helped us to come here. We came here with nothing. We didn't know anyone here, didn't speak the language. We only spoke Nepali, so English was out of the question. We didn't know how to communicate with anyone, didn't know anyone. So I started off in 5th grade, and so I live with a single mother, so it was like really hard for us. We struggled a lot in the first few years. My mom didn't know any English. I learned a little bit through like school and everything, but my mom, she didn't know anything, but she raised 4 kids on her own. She's been working in a company for like 12 years now, and we've been living in Lancaster County in Pennsylvania for the last 12 years. And here I am at Cabrini. This is my 4th year here. I'm doing my MBA right now. So yeah, that's my story.
That's good.
Hi everyone. Just so you know, I dropped out of my public speaking class in high school, so I'm a little bit nervous. So my name is Noeli Hosu. I'm from Benin, West Africa. It's next to Nigeria, and French is my first language. So I moved here when I was 16, and everything was okay back home. Like there's no anything. It's just like my aunt decided to bring us here, my cousin and I. And when I came here at the age of 16, the first week when I got here, I started working. So they told us that when we get here, we will go to school and all that. And who doesn't want to go to school to America, like in America? So when we got here the first week, we started working, and it was 7 days a week, like 24/7. We were working without getting paid. We didn't get like have time to go out or anything. We didn't have like all our also like the freedom to go anywhere. So and they kept doing. I think the place I was staying at, I was staying with my aunt, but at the same time like it was like a Beninese communities, and they kept bringing like kids underage from Africa and making them work, kind of like trafficking. Like we were doing here without getting paid and all that. So I was doing that for like almost like 4 years without school, no English, like no money and all that. So I think one of the kids got tired of all that and kind of like leaked the information to the police, and they started doing like investigation. And thank God we were like able to leave Chicago, and I came here. I stayed in the shelter for 2 months. It was kind of hard, and after that I was able to stay with like my first foster parents, and a few months later I was able to go to school for the first time, and it was enough time for me to like graduate high school because I was like turning 21, and after 20 I couldn't go to school, so I was like grateful for that. So after that my foster parents decided that they don't want kids anymore. That like we already like 28, like we can't stay with them anymore. And I can't have any communication with my aunt anymore because of whatever happened, I kinda get it. And I didn't have money either. So and we got my cousin and I, she was like 4 years older than me. We got our first apartment together. I only have $400 in my bank account because I was working during high school. I worked as a cleaner. I worked at a hotel while going to school. I also worked at a mall, and I was doing all that and working. So when we got the apartment, I was still like, I applied after graduation. I applied for Cabrini and Arcadia, and I got into both. And it was like, okay, how am I supposed to go? Because I feel like, okay, I don't have to go to community college, because when I was in class, they said, oh, you can go to community college. I was like, no, I can pay my own tuition. I know I can work hard for it. And I got in here, I got like a really good scholarship. I was really good in high school too. So I came here, I started my first year here, and I stayed on campus for my first 2 years in college, and I started working. And it's kind of like, everything was going okay because I was working, I was not that lazy until my dad passed away. I couldn't go back home, and everything just like stopped. And it was kind of hard because there's like no one to talk to here, because I feel like no one will understand like what I'm going through. Even if I go back home, my mom will be worried. And I was working, I was a tutor, I was working, I was doing hair because that big money home. I also was working at the mall, and because of that, my grades started like going down a little bit. I was going through like a hard time. Well, yeah, my story is not that crazy. Even if I go in depth there, I feel like we will sleep here like all night. So I will try to stop here. If you guys have questions, you can ask me at the end. Yeah.
Thank you.
My name is Johnson Jamal. I'm Liberian. I think we all, if not everybody, but some people know about the war system in Liberia at the time. We had a civil war that broke up, which lasted for 15 years. And when it broke up, I was very little at the time when the war broke up. And my mother had to force, take us from there to carry us to the nearby country, which is Guinea. But we have to travel a very distance to go to the nearby country. We spent about 3 months to travel from where we were to go to the nearby country. And so when we got in our country, we had no place to sleep. So there was an open field. I think it was like a kind of dry season time. We call it dry season time where there was no rain. So we were in the open field for almost 3 months. We never had food to eat. There was we had to live on the wild, food, wild fruit and all those things. So we were there until after 3 months, and the UNHCR came in and brought tarpaulin for us to build our own tent to be in. Within that period of time, there was a break of a chloride, which killed 2 of my siblings. So it was kind of very tough time for my mom. And because she was a single mother, she began to worry, and she had no means to feed us. The refugee ration food used to come, but at the time, the system in Africa is so bad. We were refugees, but before the food can reach us, half of it have already been gone to the citizens themselves, because the citizens have to spearhead everything. We were not over that. So this food used to come, and then it had to last for 4 months. Within 2 months' time, we're going out of food. So we have to hustle in order to provide for ourselves. At a tender age, I have to start to hustle because I was the only, the older person in the family. So when that happened, it came a time we used to go in the bushes to fetch for food and wood in order to sell to survive. So there came a time that my friends, we all went in the bush to fetch, to break wood and other things to come and then sell before we can get food. So when we got there in the bush, we were unlucky that day. So we saw a group of guys came and started chasing us. For me, I was little, so I hid myself, they couldn't see me. But one of the guys who they grabbed, they beat him, and when he got him, he died. So when he died, the parent had no way to even be able to fight who killed him or not, because refugees, you are called a name. It came a time we were called child soldiers, because at the time of the war, children were fighting. So we who ran from the country, and now we were named child soldiers. So we were treated like rebels in this nearby country. So we had no voice. So what happened, it came a time that my mother fed up. It came a time that they had a little ceasefire in the country. My mom said we have to go back. Even if we're going to die, let us die, but we have to go back. When we got there, she had a first son, and the first son refused to follow us to go to Guinea. So he was there, but he was a little bigger, and so he grew up there, and he was kind of strong. He was able to build his own house. So when we got there, we went to his house. But this guy, they said he has been somebody so vocal and talking about the rebel system and that of the government. So it came a time they had to chase him out. They were looking for him in order to kill him. So he escaped from the country. When he escaped, then we went in. When we got there, the next day we were attacked. They brought guns, put me on a gunpoint, put my head behind it, and tied me up. They beat me, they raped my sister, beat my mom, stripped her naked. So that later time, they beat me and went unconscious. So that I was there. When they saw that I was already dead, they left us. So when they left, then my mother came over me, brought water, started to, put water on me for me to swim. And later I came to myself. So my mom had to take me from there to another place. We hid ourselves from there to another house. We were there until I received my treatment. Then after that, my mother went to France, and they put money together for us to go to Ghana. So when we went to Ghana, what we heard about Ghana was not the same. When we got there, things became so high. So what happened was that the little money we have to rent. At least in Guinea, we had time to live in. But in Ghana, you got to be able to rent before you live. So when we got there was no refugee ration. We had to fight how to feed ourselves. So within the same period of time, when I got there, I had to now put myself together in order to help the family because my mother had no means. I had a wheelbarrow. I had to rent a wheelbarrow for every day, go around, around to take people load to carry to the parking lot for pay. I did that for a few times, but it came a time I saw the lady buying her goods. So when she got her items, I took the items to carry in the parking lot. When I was on my way to the parking lot, she left. I mean, I don't know what happened because I was just looking ahead of me, going to the parking lot. So I didn't know where she went. When I got in the parking lot, she was not there. I stayed on there for a while. So I left to go back and see where was she, you know. When I got there, before I looked, I saw so men with sticks to beat me up because they said I stole. And that's what she told them. And within that same period of time, there was nobody who ever survived being caught a rope. You will eventually die because they're going to beat you with sticks, some of them with knife. But within the same period of time, when they put me, I was on the floor, some were beating me, but those with knives and other things, they were all coming. This huge guy just came in. He said, but what is going on? And he asked me, and I explained my story. When I explained my story to him, he said, I'm not going to leave you here. I'm not just going to tell you, say, go, but I'm going to take you to the police station. He took me to the police station, and they put me in jail, where I was for 3 days. My mother never knew about me. In the jail, there are officers all around. I slept there for 3 days. When I left, the next day, the guy came by. I mean, after 2 days, the third day, he came by. He said, you know why? And told the police that if this man is still here, the lady who items were taking, she has already left. Why you guys are picking, I still keeping this guy? So that's how they took me up. When I went home, my mother cried and nowhere to go. But luckily for us, a guy came from the United States who knew my brother who ran away. And luckily my brother also was here. So when he met my sister, he said, well, I think I know you. Then, are you this person, sister? My sister said yes. He said, oh, but this guy have been looking for you people. He didn't know the whereabouts of you people. So that's how we got in touch with our brother. And later he put in for the resettlement program. At the time, there was a resettlement program. So he put our names and we were able to come to the United States. That's my story.
Hi, so my name is Gabriela. I'm from Ecuador. I'll give you a country to see the map. So as we know, there's a lot of different stories why we immigrate to the United States. My story is very different. The question I always ask when they hear I'm from Ecuador is why you immigrate. Your country has not been, there's no war in your country. Your country isn't on the news like Central America or in South Africa. And I didn't understand either. I was 10 when I came. I was in Ecuador good. I had my friends. I went to school. I thought I was good. But I realized that, and the reason why we came when I was about probably 16, when I was in high school. My mom was a single mother of 3 kids, and she was the one who was fighting for herself to us to stay alive. But I didn't know that because I was happy. So when I got the news that I had to travel to the United States, I was mad. Why? My country's beautiful. I don't know if you ever got visit. Usually was of the country in Latin America who get a lot of visits because it's the middle of the world. So I didn't understand, and I see friends that I grew up, that I went to school, immigrating too. But and then I start asking myself why, because I saw that I thought that was good. Back then, my mom got a land that her grandfather gave it to her. Her job, she didn't have a job, and I didn't know that. Why? Because I didn't have food, and I didn't went to school. But then how I had all that, it was because of my grandma immigrated. She immigrated before I was born. And she was able to send a little money so my mom can live. And my mom decided to get a partnership with her friends to be able to survive. Because a lot of people say, you don't fight in your country. You just want to take the easy and come to the United States. But that's not true. A lot of people want to stay, and a lot of people do everything to stay. So my mom did. My mom got her partnership, got her land. They farm. She had cows. They did potatoes, tomatoes, onions to sell it. So they all got these. They spent in the farm all day, working hard, and then um, by the end of the week, they used to collect all and go to the city and sell it, and try to get a lot money from that. But as you guys know, climate change has been changing, and we got affected by climate change. Sometimes there was not a lot of rain, sometimes it was too much. So getting for the agriculture that my mom used to, it was not the same anymore. She wasn't able to get all the potatoes and all the onions she used to grow to be able to sell it. And politics is not that great either. And there was not a lot of jobs so she could go in the city and work. So when she was waiting one time to sell it in the city, there was a lot of violence. They stole everything. They stole everything that she was gonna sell, and so now an option going to the city was not good. I remember I used to stay alone at home until my mom came, and one time she came and she said one of the buses, some people came and started putting those gases, and she got saved because she jumped from the window from the bus, and she was able to come home. And my mom didn't have a job. So my grandma luckily was already here, and our immigration to come, it was not that hard as other people, but does not mean that it was easy. And the process was long, and of course some people ask, why you just guys don't come legally? It takes years. It takes years, and it takes a lot of money that some people don't have it. So my mom started her processes when she was 18 to be able to come here. Thanks to my grandma that was already legal, but that she didn't came until she was already in her 25. Because the process it takes long. She get rejected like 2 times, but the third time we were able to come here, and we come to a country that we don't know. We had our grandma, but we never lived with our grandma. I went to 5th grade when I didn't know English. I remember just getting there, take a seat, and just watch. So yeah, coming to the United States is not easy, and that's my story.
Hello everyone. My name is Fanta, and I'm from Guinea. It's in West Africa. For every immigrant, like we each have a slight change to our stories that make it unique and personal to us. Like you heard, every single panelist here. Not everyone's story is filled with like gruesome details or like extreme hardship, but we each experience our own struggles in different ways. For me, growing up, with the innocence of childhood, I used to think my family was very rich. I don't know, I don't know why I thought that. Well, I do know why I thought that. Because in my community, I was surrounded with people who, on a daily basis, they used to struggle to get the basic necessity of food or clean drinking water. And for me, I had a roof over my head. For most days, I had food to eat. Even when I received less food, I wasn't much of an eater, so I wouldn't really notice. And for my family, we were not poor, neither were we middle class. We were right in the middle. When the economy was good, we would do good. If the economy plunged just by a slight change, we would feel the impact. I didn't really notice these struggles that my family used to go through until I came here in 2016. Um, I used to think back, well, I started having some conversations with my mother. She's a single mother, and she used to be the only support system for us back home. Most of those times where we would have enough food for everyone, she used to be here working at least 3 jobs, sending money back home to feed us. When I came here and I saw how much we came here in 2016 and we barely used to see our mother who's been away for more than probably 11 years. She would always be out, and that, like, I didn't realize why she was always out until she explained to me that she has 3 jobs. At the time, she had 3 jobs because she had to support me and my 2 brothers, and also my grandmother was living with us. And at the time, we were living in a 1-bedroom apartment, 6 of us in one tiny room, 1 bathroom, and a tiny kitchen. Even then, when I was living in that 1-bedroom apartment with everyone, just the fact that we were all there together, I still did not like understand the severity of our situation. I thought it was normal. That was normal for me for many years. So when I started high school, that October in 2016, there was a lot of adjustments I had to make. First, there was the accent barrier, because when you come and you hear people, you understand their English, but when they're talking and then you hear yourself, you're like, whoa, what kind of English is this? So like, I was very reserved during that time. Like the first 1 or 1.5 years, I kept to myself. I used to talk to anyone. My brother was in school also, but women and men, we face different struggles in life, or like we see life differently. So when he was more of an extrovert, I'm an extrovert, but not all the way. But he was more of an extrovert, so he was easily able to make friends. So by the end of the first semester, he made friends, so he did not want to hang out with his little sister anymore. So I had to go through high school, my first years of high school at least, by myself, and try to figure out how do I fit in, how can I be a part of this new environment. And honestly, it was not easy, because aside from the language barrier, when I would look around me and see that I didn't really see any fellow Africans, I didn't know about them at the time. But the school I go to, Upper Darby, has a very high population of Africans now. I did not know about that, because from class, lunch, home, that used to be me because I didn't know anyone. So the first year was a struggle having to fit in. And then second semester of my second year, I started to discover my people more. I started to conversate with people in class. And when we would do group activities, I do give kudos to teachers everywhere. When they do those group activities, at the beginning you're like, oh my God, I don't want to be in this. But then when you make connections with people, you start to understand why they do it. And I genuinely appreciate that in both high school and in college, because I started to talk to my fellow classmates that I would just sit, look at them from the back, just looking at the back of their head and leave by the end of the day. I started to conversate with them and found in similar that even people who did not look like me were also immigrants from different countries. I started to learn more about how diverse we immigrants are. But I did not realize how little information I knew about immigrants as a whole until I took ECG 200 with Jay-Z last semester. I was exposed to so much information, and it was the first time in my life that I felt compelled to not just be a part of the immigrant community, but to do something and voice my experience and voice my opinions to achieve change. Sorry, I have an emergency exit speech that I have to read. Basically, every single immigrant, I can't speak for everyone, but for me, I've had to learn a lot of things about just not learning about life, but about the basic needs of every human being. when I took my first psychology class, I learned about Maslow's 5 needs for every single human being. And as the years go by, I start to understand really how important it is for every single human being to achieve those needs. And for a lot of us in Africa, we only focus on the how much are you eating today? Or are we gonna play today? Oh, what are we doing in class today? But there's no emotional development with us, like because emotion is one thing that's not really addressed in a lot of immigrants' home. So I had to learn to not only emotionally connect with myself, but emotionally connect with people around me. And also, one of the needs that I'm really focusing on right now is the self-actualization need. And when you think about it, it doesn't seem like such a important thing. Oh yes, we all want to be successful, but it's not only about actualizing yourself, but also looking at people around you. How can your change affect them in a positive way? And for every immigrant, our stories make us unique. And although the journey is different for everyone, some have it easy, some have it hard, some are in the middle like me. But each and every one of us have a unique experience, and the journey is long and hard, but the results are definitely worth it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you everybody. I'm getting word for this pizza here. Is that right?
Yeah.
Q&A first?
Q&A. Oh, we're doing that first. Okay. So if anyone has any questions, we'll start with the first question. Yes, Josh.
So when you were when you all were coming to America, what were your expectations of the United States when you were coming over, and were those expectations met? I have a feeling I know the answer.
Honestly, I didn't have any expectations because the life that we had was super difficult. I forgot to mention in my story that despite us living in Nepal as refugees, we didn't have an identity. Nepal didn't really want to accept us as their own, even though we spoke their language. We were known as Nepali. We didn't have our identity or any kind of citizenship in Bhutan also, neither in Nepal. So we didn't have an identity, so when we came to the United States, my biggest thing was like, I need an identity. I need to know, like, because when people ask me, like, what are you? Sometimes I get confused myself, even now. I'm like, Bhutanese, Nepalese? I don't know. But I think I'm kind of going away from Josh's questions, but I really didn't have any expectations because, honestly, with the hard life I had.
Yeah, I can go. I feel it's like so different. You know, when I was back home, everything was fine. I watched TV, stuff like that. But everything they show us on TV is totally different. Like, kind of like how they portray Africa, and like everywhere here, it's not like that in Africa. Like, I thought when I came here, I would go to school, I know how to do anything. Like, I can enjoy my life, have my car, hang out with my friends. Like, you know, everything we see on the movie and everything, but it's not like that. When I came here, I had to force myself to kind of raise myself to grow up like at the age of 16. I was like, oh, okay. Like, no, it's not like that. No, it's not. It's like the opposite of what I think I would be like going for. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I feel that, at the time, my life could be here better than back home because of my struggle I went through. And let me be bold to you, when I came here, my brother who fought for me to come here, he died the third day in car accident. So it became a very traumatic moment for my life. So I never came to myself until after 5 years. And so the coming here was a little bit joyful. But when I came, my expectation did not just start. Did not start rather. But at the time I came here, it was another tragic experience. So my expectation coming, I felt that my whole situation, my struggle, my beating, my in jail, everything was going to be over. But when I came, I received a traumatic, bruise again that took me a long period of time, and the scar is still in my heart.
So for me, when in my country, they only know United States as New York. They don't know there's other there are other cities. So whenever I go back home and I have to explain that I don't live in New York, I live in Pennsylvania, it's hard because yeah, when I was there, they said, "Oh, you're going to New York." I was like, "Yeah." When I came here, I came to the airport, but then I went 2 hours to here, and they said this is Pennsylvania. I was like, and what part of New York is this? But then I learned that there's more states than New York. But yeah, that's how they see in, especially New York, there's only one state. Then that's it.
For me, I would say I'm kind of in the middle. Like, in certain areas, my expectations were met, and in some, I'm like, what's going on here? Education-wise, I will say my expectations were exceeded even. After high school, I did not used to think there was something called college. I thought, oh, you have a graduation party, boom, you're done. But it wasn't until after I graduated, well, actually, before my graduation, that my advisor had called me in his office and was like, I see that you haven't picked the college. I'm like, huh? College? He's like, yeah, you have to pick a college. And I went back home and I'm talking to my mom. She thought that was already like I guess, a common knowledge to me. I'm like, so I'm supposed to go to college and I'm supposed to pick which college to go to? And I have to consider the money also. So, although my expectations were met about education and how much further you can go, I was kind of surprised and taken back by the information. So it was a step. Like, I literally did not register to Cabrini until, what's the student orientation day? That's when I registered for college. About other aspects of my expectations towards coming here. When I used to watch movies, I always used to see young girls my age at the time have a sleepover. And that was one of my biggest dreams. I wanted to have like a bunch of friends from school. We all come. I guess at the time, but by the time I came here, I was too old for a Barbie. So I was expecting at least a little sleepover. We come, we sing, dance. But when I came and saw my living situation, I'm like, so if I bring friends, where are they gonna sleep? Where am I gonna sleep? So in, I guess, like social aspect, it took a little adjusting to, because I had this fairy tale idea in my head that when you come here, everyone just takes you in, and then they're like giving you stuff, and then you're like a Barbie, like a new addition to the Barbie collection, and you're living life in a pink Barbie house. But when I came here, I realized that I had to put in effort socially. If I wanted to be a part of the community, I had to like talk to people. And I also realized that just like any other countries, even though America is advanced, there are layers to it. So I had to take on those layers one by one to know that, oh, okay, even though this was not met, I can understand why it's not met.
Can I add a little quick? So, do I have-
Yes.
Okay. So also like realize something that compared to my home country, education here is like I give it 100%. If you put your mind into it, and I want to study, I want to be someone, and like the only way to go get there is through education. You put your mind to it, you will get it, you will do it. But in my country, it's like who you know. You can get your degree, your master, and when you finish, there won't be no job for you. Like I can get the lowest, I can have the lowest like education. She will have the highest, and if I know someone in the company, they will hire me. they will just hire me. They won't even care if she got her master and have my bachelor. But I feel like here, it's kind of like different, and I like that. I really like that about here.
I'm also gonna add something because I feel like I didn't answer his question at first. But for me, I didn't see anything outside of the refugee camp I lived in. So when I came to the US, I was 11 years old. But for the 11 years of me living in the refugee camp, I didn't see anything outside of that. It was our houses, it was built out of bamboo. Our schools built out of bamboo. We would sit on the floor. And we didn't have the money to go anywhere, like, vacation and all that. It was never a thing. We would sometimes get on the bus to like go a few places. Usually like we'd have to walk everywhere, but just getting on the bus, it was like super exciting for me. So yeah, for me, like I didn't see anything outside of my little refugee camp world, so there was nothing for me to like really have an expectation of.
I just want to make two quick statements. First of all, I was able to teach you 5, and it was such a privilege, and you have given so much to me. I just want to say that you just, and not just to me, but to everybody in the class. You were all in different classes, and you added immeasurably to the classes. Secondly, all I can think of is Mother Cabrini, who came to the United States 125 years ago as an immigrant, would be so proud of you 5 people. I can't even talk, I'm getting choked up. But she would be so, so proud of what you've all accomplished. So.
I think on that, no, I do have a question, but first I want to thank you guys for doing this tonight and for opening up to us and being so vulnerable and sharing your story. It like really means a lot. But I was going to ask how well you guys think that Cabrini does with like supporting immigrants and refugees.
Okay. Well, like I said, I'm an extrovert, but I'm not an extrovert. So when I first started at Cabrini, like you all just heard me say, I didn't even register for classes until orientation day. So my first few years, the friend I had made in high school came to Cabrini with me. So that was the extent of my involvement at Cabrini. So I didn't know much about the fact that Cabrini had like, I guess programs and systems in place to, welcome and like aid immigrant students. I had started hearing about it in junior year, and then when I took Jay-Z's class, it opened my mind because even outside of class, I was involved more. Not involved more in the sense that I would go out to every single program, because my mom recently had a baby, and in an ethnic home, when your mom has a child, you have a child. So I had to balance going to class, having school, going to classes, having work, and then taking care of the baby. So I could not go, especially for the coffee thing last semester. I was really hurt I couldn't make it that day. But I think Cabrini may not be like the best, at aiding immigrants, but I feel like the passion is there and the systems are in place. So no matter how long it takes, we're gonna Cabrini is gonna get there. The simple fact that they're willing to like extend a helping hand is already so wonderful, because for a lot of immigrants, helping, like, it makes you feel suspicious, because immigrants are taking advantage of so much that when people extend them a hand to help us, we're like, okay, what's in it for you? What do you want from me? So I was biased in that, honestly. When I heard a slight information from my friend in during freshman year, when she said Cabrini has a pantry for food, and basic hygiene products if you want to, go and get it. It's free. Free? You sure it's free? I said, are you sure they're not adding that to your tuition? She's like, no, it's free. I'm like, okay, you do that. I'll just, stay in my room. So knowing, like, when I actually went to the pantry and actually saw in there, I didn't really only took like a snack, because I'm like, if anything, pick the cheapest thing I think there is, so that I don't have to pay a lot. But having taken that and not facing any consequences, it made me like, it encouraged me to open up more and be like, change my view of how I see people that extend help. And Cabrini is doing a very good job at that. And generally, like, when it comes to Cabrini's representation and the help of immigrants, I am promised, like, talk about it with anyone that I talk to about Cabrini. And I have hope, and I believe that there's gonna be more resources added and more help, achieved in the future.
Do we have time? Okay. So for me, I think Cabrini is doing like a really good job at that, because I remember when I started freshman year as an honor student, it was part of our requirement, like, to just not just immigrate, just like everyone that is like honor student has to go to downtown to pass out like peanut butter and jelly and stuff. It's kind of like make me feel like part of myself, like being part of it, kind of giving it out, because like not everyone like can. There's like some stuff not everyone like are able to just like do it, but I kind of like that. I also used to work with the Center on Immigration here at Cabrini. They have a center, and we were trying to advocate for like for those like who can speak up for themselves, trying to close down the detention center, because like the life like the lifestyle what the other people like the immigrants are living there is kind of like harsh, and I was also part of it. I end up like stop working there because I have to work, pay for my apartment, stuff like that too. But yeah, also what I also like about Cabrini is like our class is not that big, and you get to like ask questions and get to like talk with your classmate, and I talk a lot. So it was easy for me to make friends, and yeah, I think I like it, and I like how like they're taking care of like immigrant and everyone.
Yes, I think for me, I was not, I could remember what I went through, and I know what it means to be a refugee. And sometimes it touches me that people describe refugees the way they think. But it is not something that people think of doing. Leaving from your comfort zone to go to an area that you don't even know. And so it is my heartbeat that if I see a people or organization trying to extend help to other people who in need, because we don't know their stories. Everybody has different stories. I came from the war, but there are people who came, through different means. What affected them caused them to migrate again. So because of that, for me, I've been through it. Other countries rejected us in Africa. We were treated like we were not human beings. Even the food the UNHCR provided, we never received it. We had to go to work, for people before we survive. So it is my passion, and I said it when I took his class. I said, if I even had the means to get by home and even help people, I would do it. Because I know I have received the pain. And so, the school, I'm very grateful. There was the first time I ever heard about refugee program, about people talking about refugees, and even taking to the extent that talking to government officials about refugees, about immigrants. I'm very grateful. Yes, I'm very much grateful. It is not easy. It is not bread and butter. It's not something to say that I want to come to America and live there. There are people who've been there before. They never migrated. But because of war, because of famine, because of drought, they left their comfort zone. They didn't know where they were going. Some of them found themselves here. And some died through the process. So I'm very grateful for the effort of Cabrini School to be able to have such effort to make sure that those who in need, even though they may not do it 100%, but for the fact that they have taken the step, at least if everybody in the United States, every school will take the stand and do that, I think it's going to be great. Not only for America, and we're also grateful for those who are making effort, organizations making effort to extend helping hands to other people that cross, the world. Yes, so I'm grateful for that.
Sorry, I want to add. Sorry. So there's also one program I didn't mention, which is SOAR. I'm a SOAR scholar, and they're really good at helping like immigrant everyone in it, and I'm grateful for that too.
So, okay, should I? Okay, no. Go ahead.
Would you like to ask? Do you have a question standing? No, never mind. Okay, Chris. that's you.
Yeah, so I would say the last probably 10 years has been a pretty stark rise in xenophobia and anti-immigration rhetoric. And I would say overall, unfortunately in the media and news, a lot of the perspectives and viewpoints of immigration and immigrants are very negative. You see, whether that's, especially in the U.S., whether that's immigration from Latin America, you have people just who really are denigrating immigrants, I would say, as a whole. And I was wondering, since all five of you are immigrants, when you see some of the kind of like mistreatment of immigrants in the news, does that cause any five of you like a trauma? When you see that, and also if you could say something to someone who is, I would say, more on the side of anti-immigration, spewing that rhetoric, what would your message be to them?
Yes, I think for me, as always relating, I'm always relating to war, and I say a lot of things that people run from their country to a different country for survival. So indeed, people who look at them and misinterpret the whole system, that they are seeking for a job or they are seeking to just come for greener pasture, this message is bad. We should look at the human dignity first. Every human being, even it started in the Bible, immigration started in the Bible. They talk about the Exodus. They left from where they were and went to different places for survival. So for those who will try to misinterpret, to see refugees as people, and sometimes even when I migrated, I left from my home to Guinea, we were called by different names, like people here, calling them. We were the thief. We were the rebels. We were people who were bad in the community, but it is not like that. Look at the present story. Some of you are listening to our stories. But if you see me, sometimes you may look at me to be different. But until you listen to my story before you get to know me best. So if we just sit back and stand a distance to look at those people, then we have different mind for them. But when we get closer and then hear their story, then we will know who they are and what they have been through. Let the human dignity come first. Let us consider them and treat them like human like us. Consider them in the community that you live. When you hear about immigration, when you talk about immigrant, we should be able to consider them. Not because we are living, we never experienced it, but listen to their stories.
So, when I see news like that or anything, and like on social media, even though I've been living here in the States for 12 years now, it just makes me feel like, am I welcomed here? Even though I've made the United States my home for the past 20 years, am I really welcomed by my community? But, like all of us have shared, no one wants to move to an unknown country where you don't know anyone, where you don't know the language, for no reason. We, here in the States, we don't get to celebrate our festivals, our holidays like back in Nepal. When I don't know if you guys have heard of Diwali, I have school. So I don't even get to go home during those times. So, and the vibe is different back in our country with the festivals and everything. Your neighbor speaks the same language as you. There are people like walking around where you can connect with them, you can communicate with them in your language. But like for us, it's a little easy for us because we can like speak in English now, we can communicate with other people, but for our parents and grandparents, they don't get to do anything. They don't get to get out of their house. They don't get to like communicate with their neighbors because of the language barrier. So, I mean, our message to, I guess, anti-immigrants, or if that's the right term, is no one leaves their home for no reason. We're all just trying to escape. You know, some are trying to escape poverty, hunger, war, and all that stuff. So,
Okay, go ahead.
For me, well, a lot of times when I see negative, I guess, news about immigrants out there, there's this statement in my religion that I often think back to. It's that it's not the mind that's blind, but the heart that is. So I try to look at them from that point of view, because it's easy to tell your story, but not everyone's heart is going to change after hearing your story. So I feel sad when I see news like that, because to me, you'd have to be so miserable to a point that you feel like putting other people down to make yourself feel fine, or like make yourself feel, oh, okay, I have a grade in this person, so if they come in my country, I'm kicking them out. And a statement I guess I would say to people like that is basically, if you were in my shoe and I was doing what you're doing to you, how would you feel? Because there's been this, I guess, detachment when it comes to how people connect or how people view each other. Everyone is an immigrant. Like, we don't know the exact history of every country, but at one point in time, everyone was migrating from one place to another, because the world has been through a lot of wars, a lot of struggles. So we've had to move from one place to another. It might not be from a different country, but you may move from one community to another because you feel like the living condition there is better. So if everyone has experienced that, I feel like the only way we can battle some of this negative news, yes, sharing our stories is one thing, but it's to connect with them and understand their story also. Because if we're the only ones sharing our stories all the time, they may feel like, oh, attention is only thrown to immigrants and not them. We should listen to them and their story. Why do you feel so strong, like negative emotion towards immigration? How has it affected you? And how do you want to change it? Imagine, think about their situation and how you're reacting towards them. If someone did that to you, how would you feel? Yeah, so make our stories, like, well, in combating anti-immigration news and like rhetoric. English is not my first language. I guess connect with them on a personal level. I said this to Jay-Z one time in class when he was like asking about suggestion for the February Day. Is I feel like we're still struggling with this issue because there's still a form of detachment with people who view immigrants negatively, and until we can figure out that issue, no amount of aid is gonna, I guess, stop people from being so negative towards immigrants. I'm so sorry.
How about one more question? Sure.
So my question was like, so you guys said a lot of amazing things about Cabrini and like the immigration program. Is there something about Cabrini and how they had helped immigrants that you would like to see more that you're not seeing?
okay. Like we've said before, I think Cabrini is taking a lot of initiatives to help and welcome immigrant students, just like this CRS is doing, holding this panel to let immigrant students and like refugee students to share their story, because this is, I know it's like not a huge thing for a lot of people, but this makes us feel welcomed. The Cabrini community is welcoming us, letting us share our story. But something that Cabrini could do, I guess better or like at this in the future is for a lot of refugee families and immigrants family, finance is like a huge thing, money is a huge thing. personally, for me, I have a single mom, and all my siblings, they're also attending school, and some are married off. So financial status is like not too good right now. So a lot of scholarships I didn't even know about that Cabrini was offering. So somehow if we can, I don't know, put it out there for students to know, because I feel like sometimes, so I've been here for 4 years and I didn't know about a lot of scholarships until this year. And I'm a senior slash an MBA student, so it's really not a use for me. And since Mother Cabrini was an immigrant and like we're kind of that, it's our mission and everything, I feel like we need to offer some kind of scholarships to immigrant students. Maybe we can start this in the future, but I think it'll be a huge help to us.
For me, I guess the only change, I guess it's pretty similar to what Pooja was saying, is the fact that a lot of resources are not, I guess, like, as immigrants, we're not as exposed to it. Because even though I've been in this country for like close to 5 years now, I'm still struggling with having to keep up with information, because technology is was not a very big thing for me growing up in Africa. So, and like a lot of posters I see around, and my friends will be like, but it was written on the poster, why didn't you read it? I'm like, honey, we had a chalk and a blackboard. That's it. When I see a bunch of papers on the thing, I'm thinking about getting to class or going home. I'm not really thinking about the courses because I'm not used to it. I'm not used to having like a board with informations on it. I feel like Cabrini can at least take a step towards this by, I guess, having like sessions where people go and share this information in class. Because we're there in class, if the information is being given to us in class, you know, it's right there. So you can say, oh, I didn't read it over there, or I didn't see it in email. Because, like I said, technology is not a very big thing for a lot of immigrants, especially when you come from an underdeveloped nation. I didn't even have my first phone until I came here. So even now with social media or like texting, I am very horrible at it. I will see people texting and I'm just like, I don't respond because I'm not used to it. So sharing these informations in class helps us like gain knowledge about it and then take the steps towards seeing which one works better for us and which one does not.
Another thing, so maybe, I don't know, providing a person to help with students that aren't, like, where English isn't their first language. So for me, when I decided to come to Cabrini, I had to do everything on my own since like my mom doesn't speak English and she can't like go on the Cabrini website and look at the financial aid or like anything like that. I had to take care of FAFSA, all the financial aid on my own, which, you know, I mean, I feel like a lot of immigrant students and children have to mature at such an early age. I had to start taking my mom to doctor's appointment at the age of 12, and I had to be the translator, because even my siblings, they were like, your English is the best compared to all of us, so you gotta go. So, you know, at such a young age, we have to mature, and so my mom, even though she wanted to help me so bad, obviously she wanted to experience this as well, but she couldn't because of not knowing English. And I was so lost. Looking at the financial aid, I'm like, what's this, what's that, how much am I actually, like, how much do I have to pay, and where's this money coming from, how do I, like, register for FAFSA and all that, FIA, all that sort of stuff. I had no idea how to do. I don't know how I did it, quite frankly. So maybe, I don't know, coming up with someone or providing some kind of help with that would be huge.
I just want to add like this little bit of information, sorry. Exactly what Pooja said, but I feel like it not only has to start with reading, but in high school also. Because when I decided to come to Cabrini and was applying for FAFSA, FIA. One, I didn't even know Parent Plus loan was a thing. Because I didn't know that was a thing, I took a loan outside, which was from Sallie Mae. And me not having any understanding of rates, I accidentally increased my rates. And now I have to deal with that consequence. Because I didn't know, first of all, I didn't even know what was going on. I was just to go on this one, fill this information out, and say yes, yes, yes to this. So that's what I did. I didn't really read the fine prints and everything, read everything I was saying yes to or sign to. So I feel like providing information, like Pooja said, but starting early in high school, especially senior year, since that's when we're really exposed to the many different resources or the many different colleges there are. So starting early, reaching out to high school students and explaining to them how rates work, how Parent Plus loans are a thing, how FAFSA is a thing, how FIA is a thing. If we can start from there, before even getting into college, we at least have an idea of how rates work before we sign up for something and have to deal with the consequences. And I'm genuinely really grateful to Cabrini when it came to me having to sign up late for school in general, and also my financial aid, because since I had not figured it out, I went up until the middle of the semester with still having a balance left. And they were very lenient with me. They worked with me. The financial aid office really worked with me through it and helped me figure out what I can do to have my balance taken care of. So.
What I was gonna add is that what I wish I had it. So we have EGC 100 to 100. The other thing that I wish was an English course, but especially for people who don't speak English, because your English in high school is not the same as your English in college. When you have to start writing essays, I see how people who knows their English, they write it quickly, and we take long, and because we have to figure out different things. I know that we have that writing center, but I think having a class where they kind of try to know that your sentences, how to figure out your sentences. I know they teach that in high school, but sometimes we in high school, we're just learning English and we're trying to get those words. So I think having a class that will kind of summarize or teach you how to write a good paragraph or how to write your reference will be very helpful, because we are lost.
You take one more?
A quick comment, because I think we're trying to wrap up.
Thank you. Thank you for that question, Charles. I was thinking about. Thank you so much for sharing your stories. It's really a gift for all of us. I know I'm speaking for everyone here, but it is so valuable to know your experiences and to get to know you as a person as well. So probably some of you don't know me, so I'll just introduce myself. My name is Linda Grigorian, and I'm the intern for the Center on Immigration. First and foremost, I am an immigrant myself. So I come from Armenia originally. Very different story from all of you, but same in terms of it's different. It has its struggles, it has its path, and all of that. So when you were speaking, I was hearing young myself in a lot of your voices, and I came to this country for education too, and I received my education, and here I am with you at Cabrini, and I'm thankful for that. I do want to mention something about, Pooja, you mentioned scholarships. The Center on Immigration is currently working on scholarships for international, non-international immigrant students with different statuses. I just wanted to bring that up because it has been in working for a while, and it's not an easy thing to do administratively, because to add to your point about how difficult the system is, it takes years to overcome the red tape, right? And figure out ways that you can provide equal opportunity and access to students regardless their immigration status, because it's easier to establish something for citizens or naturalized citizens or someone who has a green card and for any other category, it's a little bit harder. But we are working on it, so thank you for bringing it up. And I would love to connect with you all and maybe talk about some other programming and initiatives that could address the other needs that you see to fill those gaps and bridge those gaps. So just thank you for giving me the floor too, and thank you again for sharing your story.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nume. I also just wanted to acknowledge, so President Dryden was here, had to leave early it looks like, but I also want to acknowledge that our Vice President for Mission and DIB is here in the room. Angela, do you want to say a quick word, or?
I share with Jay-Z, Dr. Jerry Zurich. It's great gratitude that you're here with us. God's brought you here for a reason, and your families, you're important, and you've blessed us with your stories. Anything that we can do to bless you, and through the education, but also through other opportunities and through the work that Dr. Gregorian is doing for immigrants and those immigrant identities is really, really important. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your leadership.
And Sister Bridget, it sounded like wanted to say a word as well.
Yes, I just wanted to say I am proud that I'm a missionary sister of Sacred Heart, but I am so proud of you, the ladies and gentlemen that set up here to share your story. And I'm sure that a lot of people have gone to similar story, maybe more, maybe less, but we all share with you. And I am so happy that you are catching the spirit here. And the spirit is what's important. And I can see and I can feel that you're going to be out there and you're going to be leaders. And you know, when you're leaders and you're having the spirit, that's what counts and that's what's going to change the world. So I have confidence in you that you're going to go out there and make a difference in the world. That's what we're all about. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we give our panelists, our Sister Christine?
I just want to add, kind of piggyback on what Sister Bridget just said. I was moved when I heard, I'm sorry, I can't remember your name, the last girl on the end. Yes, you mentioned something about your heart is touched when you see certain things, and I thought, no doubt, I hope that all of you, that your hearts have been touched. We talk about that all the time, don't we? The education of the heart. So that, you know, when you become aware of other people's sufferings, you've gone through your own, no doubt. I mean, we heard some of that this evening, but you look at, you know, you hear the news, and your heart aches for the suffering that you see going on in the world. This, you know, while we have to kind of keep ourselves from getting depressed, but yet it's a good thing, I think, that we can hear those terrible things and wish we could do more, or wish we could do something to help those people. And I did hear that in your recounting of your own experiences, but also I think it has made you more compassionate people. So thank you.
Yes, thank you to our panelists. Many thanks.
So I would like to invite everybody here to our next CRS meeting. We meet in the Wolfington Center every Tuesday at 6 p.m. And we talk about topics like this. We also talk about advocacy and how we can make the world a better place.
But if you do want to hear more from our panelists, because I know